Barb, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
I couldn't hear you, but I assume that's a yes.
Yes, it is. I'll do a thumbs up.
Up a little bit. I don't think we have any. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, we're good. I turned on recording already. So. Well, they recorded both things.
Good morning. That's loud. Turning it over to John.
Let's bow our heads and pray. We come to you this hour and ask for your blessing and help as we gather. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work, the spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us a desire to find ways to excel in our work. Help us to come together and encourage each other to excellence. We ask that we challenge each other to reach higher and farther and to be the best we can be. In your name we pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning again. It's great to see such a great turnout this morning. And we have several guests, so we'll look forward to hearing about you and welcoming you to the club. We have several announcements this morning. Manny, we're going to start with you.
I can just talk real loud if that's easier.
Yeah. Sure.
That's fine, okay. It's officially Adopt a Family season. Susan Rosenthal and I are really excited to officially kick everything off. We have really amazing individuals and families we'll be shopping for this year. So if you signed up, we sent out a sign up sheet through Club Runner. If you signed up through that, please come see me after meeting and we can divide up and conquer. We're asking that all of those gifts are dropped off to Susan's office by Monday, December 9th, I believe it is. So if you could do all that shopping by then, that'd be amazing. And I'm also here today to ask for donations. I know historically, we typically do a big push for donations at the club holiday party, but this year, because we need to get all of our shopping done ahead of time, over the next couple of weeks, you'll be seeing a little gift bag coming around club. If you could open your hearts and open your wallets to help make this a success, you can take cash donations, or if you're interested in donating another way through check, Amy's willing to bill you. You can sign up on here. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Susan around. Thank you. Gift cards, yes, we're also collecting donations through gift cards through Kroger. So every family, we give each individual about $100 through the club to shop for, which we all know $100 doesn't stretch as far as it used to, but $100 per shopper, and then each family is getting a gift card to Kroger. Any other questions? Yes.
What's the buy the gift cards? Give you guys the money so you can buy the gift cards.
Either is amazing, whatever, either is amazing, whatever works best for you. And we had someone ask about increments for gift cards. Anything works, $25, $50. Our goal is to give each family at least $100 on a Kroger gift card, but I mean, there's a family here, there's 5 kids and 2 adults, so $100 does not go as far as it used to, but.
And Rich can also take money, correct?
Yes,
Yep.
Rich can also take
So-
money. So,
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Any other announcements?
Yes, sir.
All right.
December 7th, December 14th, Red Kettle Bell ringing. Thank you for everybody who's already signed up. The shifts look well, but we still have some gaps. So check your calendars and see if it might be possible on Saturday the 7th or Saturday the 14th of December. You can be part of a 2-hour shift at either Kroger's on West Bridge or Kroger's at the Avery Center. This is a tradition, I think it goes back, I think over 80 years with this club. It's a long tradition. And we're one of the top collecting club entities in Central Ohio Salvation Army. Please do that. And final note, anybody who's bell ringing, anybody who has ever bell rung, anybody who aspires to ring a bell, anybody who's curious about what a bell is, mandatory attendance, December 6th training. Thank you.
Any other announcements? So I do have one that's a bit of a pre-announcement. So you'll recall that Rick Mailer was here to speak to the club several months ago. We're working on putting together a program that would be hosted at the city barbecue facility. It's going to be scheduled for January 30th. And it's really focused on entrepreneurs or people who are in a transition with their careers. It's going to have a nominal cost of about $30 that would include a lunch and a session with Rick and an outside facilitator that we're working to find, to be honest. But hope that you can join, and hope that it creates an opportunity for you to bring people to that are on the leadership track for your business or your organization. So, Wolf?
Just thought I'd follow up with final Socktober results. Last month, we collected socks to give to the Salvation Army for people experiencing homelessness. Our club collected 460 pairs of socks, which is, I think, at least 140 pairs more than we did the year before. So congratulations to all of us for doing that. The winning club was actually 2 clubs. Circleville collected 2,886 pairs of socks. Amazing. And then the Logan Club won per capita with 40 pairs per person. So that was amazing. The great news is that last year our district collected 16,768 pairs of socks. This year we collected, let's see, 20,170 pairs. So all-time record. Thank you.
Claudia.
You all received an email about dog biscuits with canine companion. Dublin Interactive Club is making them, I believe, next week. And they will bring them here to a meeting. Please follow up on that email. You can order them online through them and pay them with cash or check when you pick them up. The kids make a biscuit.
Yeah. And they'll bring them to the club, so Wednesday, they'll bring them to the club. Yeah, very awesome. Any other announcements? Then I will turn it over to our Sergeant of Arms who just walked out of the room. Who's continuing to walk. So we'll do happy bucks. Does anybody have a happy buck? Gotta have a happy buck. So I have a happy buck, so I'll introduce a guest. My nephew Drew Oliver is here joining us today. So welcome, Drew. And our Sergeant at Arms, Captain Clem.
That's $1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if this. I don't know. I was hoping it was.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Anyhow, we'll give up on that one. Good morning. Everybody awake? All right.
How about this?
All right. I know.
There you go.
They're a little slow this morning, I think, so. Anyhow, we have quite a few guests, so who has brought a guest? Won't you stand up and introduce your guests, please?
I want to introduce him. Some of you have met Jeff before. Jeff Suzy is a resident of Muirfield and my son, the oldest son of the two, attended Ohio State University. And Craig, you made his senior year very memorable, the year when you won the national championship. Thanks for having me.
Steve Schmidt.
You're older.
All right, thank you. I got 8 more names. Guess.
I guess I'm very proud to introduce Malta Kramer. Malta is an attorney in Düsseldorf, Germany, that was here on assignment for 5 months in Manhattan.
Okay,
So, good to have him this weekend and also joining us in Denver next week. So,
thank you.
Yes, Mike Humphrey, longtime Delaware resident and retiree.
Okay, congratulations. Thank you. Anybody else? I got 4 more names.
Postless guests. Jeremy Sanders from Philadelphia, Ohio, big Buckeyes fan, came down here.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Vince Malillo. I'm originally from Youngstown, Ohio, and I went to Ohio State, but relatively new back to the Dublin area and looking to get more involved into the community. Happy to be here.
Welcome. Anybody else?
Another one of those homeless guests, Kyle Herndon, lives in Dublin, Ohio also. Just kind of getting involved.
Great, thank you. Both of you are welcome. Does that take care of everybody?
I already introduced Drew.
Okay.
Yep.
So
And
that's
is Renee still here?
Renee, Jordan?
Here.
Aha, there you go. Renee,
Yes.
Yeah.
welcome.
Really like what I experienced when I moved this week, so thanks for having me back.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. To keep this program moving, anybody have any bragging rights? Any happy bucks? Everybody knows the Rotary protocol. It's a good day today, so it's a fine for every one of you. $1 a piece, please. The small pot is $20. I'll have to have somebody collect that. Gene, here, I find you $1. All right, we'll get the bucket going here in a second, but the small pot is $20. Would you like to draw, take it? How about it? Go ahead.
Okay, it is 260342.
Where's the second one?
260342.
342, thank you, sir. Going. All right, we got it back there. Small pot or big pot? Okay. And we're gonna draw for the small pot again, if you would, please. Thank you.
260416. 416.
Ah, okay, very good, thank you.
That part area.
All right, and we will draw for the large pot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Calvin. Ash, would you like to introduce the program this morning? Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Not sure if this, it is working. It is not working. Oh, okay. All right, so today, Ryan Miller was gonna be here, couldn't make it because he's getting his kids off to school. So we're gonna try to welcome him back again next year. Jimmy Bell, Mr. Big Jimmy Bell, he presented for us here. I think he's getting his kids off to school. So right now, our solo guest is Craig Krenzel, which he's a wonderful guy. Let me introduce him a little bit. First thing, I think most of you know, he's from Michigan. I think we can all say that he's now converted into a Buckeye, I'm pretty sure. My wife is also from Michigan. She's now a Buckeye, so they're now Ohio people. As you know, Craig helped lead the Buckeyes to their first national championship in 34 years, getting the Buckeyes to a perfect 14-0 season, including a victory over top-ranked and defending national champion Miami in 2003 Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. And he was named the offensive MVP of that game. He went on to be an NFL QB with the Chicago Bears. I've known Craig now for 10 years, which I can't believe. I can truly say he's an outstanding guy and an asset to our community. A big plug, he has a great insurance company that I highly recommend. I'm gonna introduce it over now to Craig. He's gonna give us a few words on the Ohio State season so far and see how they're gonna do the rest of the year. Thanks, Craig.
Good morning. So I think we finally settled the debate over offense versus defense, right? I mean, at least we show up. Yeah, at least the offense shows up. We're the most dependable ones of the crowd. No, it's as always, it is a pleasure to be here. I love this morning every year just to get up and just talk a little bit about the season. As you guys remember, I typically don't go into a whole ton of depth, neither does Ryan. I will try to tackle offense and defense briefly, and then get to what is my favorite part, which is the Q&A. Obviously right now, I think we could be in a better spot, but not by much, right? Our only one loss was a good loss, a tough loss, if there is such a good thing, or if there is such a thing as a good loss, when your only loss is to the #1 team in the country. Just kind of sucks this year that they're in our conference now. But I like what I see out of this football team, and that's an interesting thing to say because I think the one thing that I've really struggled with is this, for me, is the first year where I feel like I've kind of lost a little bit of attachment to the team, to the program. And it's just me personally with the transfer portal and all of these guys coming in. And it's like, we don't have, we have guys that are playing in key pivotal roles that it's like, all right, now who really is he? Where was he last year? Where's he from? Whereas we're not really accustomed to that. We're still for me at least, still trying to get through I remember when this kid came in as a freshman, he played a little bit, showed some glimpses as a sophomore, and now he's a junior and he's a stud. So I'm still getting used to that a little bit. I may only be 43 years old, but I think I'm, more like 70 at heart because I hate it. I don't know about you guys. Of the pay to play transfer portal, but it is what it is, and for the time being, it's here to stay. So, I think when you look at this team, I really like where we're at. I really like a tough road loss. In today's format, where you only got to make the top 12, preferably the top 4. I don't think a tough loss, a tough road loss, is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think to have to be in a competitive environment, a difficult environment, and be right there, having chances to win the game. I think that's going to serve us really well down the stretch in the playoffs. And defensively, I think our defensive ends are starting to really, I think, step up and play to the level that we expected, Jack and JT to play to. And hopefully that continues to trend in the right direction and peak at the right time. We have athletes all over the field, and we have, is it weird to sit here and say that we have, I think, one more test and it's Indiana? Is that weird? It feels weird for me to say, all year I actually gave a client my Indiana tickets to use because I was like, I will go to the Michigan game. And now it's like, dang it. Really screwed that one up. Wish I was going to the Indiana game, but offensively, we have the weapons, and in years, it's going to be the same as years past. Do our 5 guys up front gel, find a way to come together and control the line of scrimmage in big games, and that's where you win football games offensively. We always have talent, right? Look at what Brian Hartline's doing with our receivers. We lose the best receiver in college football, probably last year, one of the best top 10, 15 receivers in football, period, at any level. And we get a guy that's maybe better as a freshman, like kind of a scary thought. Travion and Judkins are a 1-2 punch that, from a dependability standpoint, from a backup standpoint, we got 2 guys there that I think are, very dangerous players. And, with Emeka to complement Jeremiah. Offensively, we got all the weapons. Are we going to have time? Are we going to control the line of scrimmage? When the playoffs roll around, are we going to be able to physically do what we need to do up front, to give Will and the weapons time to do what they can do. So it'll be a lot of fun to watch that and to watch these guys continue to. The other thing that a lot of people don't think about when you have all these transfers is, when someone transfers in and they get here maybe in the spring, maybe over the summer, and then they're playing together in August and September rolls around. And, I know how much of a blessing it was for me to compete with the guys that I competed with, because I'd been there for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years by the time I was a senior. And every single one of these guys. And I could go throw routes to Michael Jenkins, and we would literally, I would practice throwing routes sometimes with my eyes closed. Didn't always look pretty, but better than you might think. But you develop those relationships and you develop that rapport over time. So in today's world with transfer portal and guys coming in and, getting here and maybe over the winter, maybe in June, that little amount of time it's not a lot in terms of building those relationships, timing, communication, so I think in well-coached teams, you're going to see these teams really, really take steps throughout the years as we continue to push forward throughout the weeks, rather, as we can continue to push years down the road. I think you're going to see coaching become even more important because you have to find a way as a coordinator, a position coach, a head coach to bring on large numbers of guys that are just new to your program. It's the equivalent of, obviously they're not freshmen, right? But it's similar in terms of them entering your program when these transfer guys come in. And bringing them on board to your culture, the way, offensive line, the way they communicate, especially quarterbacks, the way you communicate, learning the system. It's like learning a new language. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch for the next, how many more weeks we got? 12 weeks, 10 weeks of the season. I think we are in as good a spot as we've been in a long time to go make a deep run in January. So,
Right, what do you think about the quarterback room? When we ended the season with pretty much no quarterback, and now we have 3 or 4.
I cannot imagine being a coach these days. I can't imagine having to, in old school college athletics in general, okay, you had to recruit the juniors and seniors coming out of high school, right? If you were a top program like Ohio State, you're recruiting sophomores and juniors in high school, is essentially, and some seniors. Now with the recruiting rule changes, that's changed a little bit, but back in the good old days, if you will, all you had to do is recruit high school players. And now you have to recruit the best players in high school. You have to recruit the best players that have entered the portal in college. And what a lot of people don't think about, and we don't have to deal that much with it here at Ohio State because we're blessed and fortunate to be one of the top programs in the country. But a lot of these coaches have to recruit their own players to stay. So if you can imagine the dynamic as a coach and the shift and the paradigm shift that you've had to undergo the last 2-3 years in terms of building your team, I can't even imagine what that looks like, especially as it relates to the most important position on the field. And I say that, if Ryan was here, he'd probably take a little offense to that, but it is the reality. It's one of the most important positions in all of sports, because as we all know, if you don't have a quarterback, you can't win. Now, if you don't have an offensive line, you're not going to win either. The other positions you can kind of get around and hide, so in terms of the dynamic in the quarterback room, that I can't imagine being a quarterback coach or an offensive coordinator and having to go into a season looking at your room going, these guys weren't here. And the guys that were here to teach and to develop and to help me as a coach mentor, they're all gone. They've transferred, they've graduated, they've left. So the challenges that face these coaches today are unique, they're new, they're novel, they're different. And I think we're going to see, over the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to really see which programs are well coached and can adapt the best. And, I don't think you're going to see a full changing of the guard, but you are going to see some programs handle it a lot better than others. So, yes, lots of questions.
Greg, speaking of coaches, you were blessed with Coach Krenzel on the sideline. He's all calm, cool, collected. Can you give us a behind the scenes look? Like, how was the locker room?
With Coach Tress, like how was the same, the exact same. I always, when I talk to people, I'd be like, when I'm trying to talk to Coach Tress or talk about Coach Tress, I would always search for words. And is he always that? People would always ask me, is he always that calm? Is he always that cool? Is he always that in control? Is he always that? And they'd search and I'd be like, boring. Yeah, he kind of was. But what you guys saw publicly is nearly identical to what we saw in private, in the locker room, every day as it relates to not just football, but life. I actually have a pretty funny story that goes with that. And it was my junior year after we won the national title. We came back and I ran into a student on campus, and she was with one of the sororities on campus, and they wanted to have a party with the football team. So she approached me and we started talking. She's like, hey, this is what we want to do. And we'd love to have a big party with the football team, celebrate the national championship. And I said, well, let me see. I'm sure the guys would think that's fun. What would you need? And she said, well, our sorority charter doesn't allow us to buy liquor. We can only buy beer. So if we do this, if you guys could bring some liquor for the party, that'd be great. And so I talked to a bunch of guys on the team, and all the guys are like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So virtually the whole football team was in, and at this point I'm looking at it like, oh boy, what did I get into? Like, this is gonna be so. But I made a little sign and I put in each guy's locker, if you're attending, I need $20. And a couple of the other guys and I organized all of this. So I get a little nod through the door in the locker room. Yeah, Gregory. This was one day after we're done working out. Do you mind coming in my office when you have a chance? Sure, coach. Oh, let me shower up. I'll be right in there. So I go into Coach Tress's office and he's got the flyer sitting on the desk. And he looks at me and goes, so Gregory, do we think this is a good idea? And I looked at him and I said, I mean, if by we you mean the whole team, coach, yeah, everybody thinks it's a great idea. And he looks at me and he's holding the flyer and he goes, so, but this part, the $20. And I said, well, yeah, and I explained to him, coach, well, they can only buy beer. I was like, that was so stupid. Like, I was so dumb. I was like, well, yeah, they can only buy beer. So this is our way around it. And he just looks down and he's got his glasses on. And he looks at me and he goes, well, Gregory, what does Beth think about this? And I looked at him and I was like, she doesn't care. Like, she knows we're going to a party. And I looked at him, I was like, actually, there's a really good chance Beth's driving a handful of us, coach. And he looks at me and he says, okay, but I want you to know, I'm going to hold you personally responsible for anything that happens at this party. And at that point, I was just like, because I can't control what 80 other guys are doing. But in terms of the calm, the cool, what we're going to stand for, how we're going to do things the right way. And as I was walking out of the office, he gave me the old cliche, remember, Gregory, nothing good happens after 10 o'clock. And the first time he ever said that in a team meeting room, I remember a couple of the guys literally just busted out laughing. And one of the guys, Coach Tress, said, you think that's funny? And one of my teammates looked and said, yeah, coach, did you have a girlfriend in college? But at any rate, he's exactly what you saw. On the field, off the field, football, life, academics, community. If you're not familiar, he had the Block O of life that had all the different facets that he was trying to develop and mentor and train all of us players on to be well-rounded people, not just great football players.
Don't take his question.
All right, we'll go in the back first. Sorry, Bruce. Sorry, I've been instructed. Sorry, you're gonna have to wait.
So it's been well documented that Coach Krenzel developed a culture of, and one of his phrases was, football is what I do, football is not who I am. And I think that, my understanding, that moved forward in a positive way through the next coaching regime, maybe build upon it a little bit more. Are you seeing anything in Ryan Day's leadership that is continuing those underpinnings that you just discussed, or is there, in how he's having to manage sort of the new talent, as you say, that comes on board? How do you get something, other than the fact I'm being paid $500,000 to play football? Is there, what else is there, if anything's needed, to be able to say I'm a part of an amazing university and great culture?
So that's the challenge. And that's the thing that I fear I feel like we've lost it a little bit. And I feel like we're going to lose it even more as more and more time goes by, and the money's probably going to grow because that's just the way life works. And maybe more and more guys are going to come from the portal. That's the one thing that I hate is I personally feel like we've lost a lot of the pageantry that was college athletics, especially with most notably football and basketball. Is, you know, how does a guy that's been at one school for 2 years and then he's coming here because he's going to get paid $500,000. You know why I came to Ohio State? I came to Ohio State because of Archie, because of Eddie, because of Jack, because of Earl. You know, I chose to come down to Columbus, Ohio because of the history and don't get me wrong, and Coach Cooper and his staff and the opportunity that I thought I had was important, but there was a big draw to being a Buckeye because of the guys that played before. And I think that part is what we're gonna lose. You know, and I guess I'm probably glad that I didn't have to make the decision based solely on money. Sounds kind of dumb to say because, you know, you play 3 or 4 years and, you know, if you told me I had a couple $1 million extra in my pocket right now, I wouldn't hate that. But I don't know that I would want to have to deal with that at 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. The amount of pressure, I mean, there's enough pressure for a 19-year-old kid I mean, I remember what that feels like and how you feel like you have to go out there and perform for your teammates, your family, your coaches, you put it all on the line. And now, you know, to have to answer that question about like, well, you're not living up to the $750,000 you're getting paid. You know, that's just an added layer of pressure for, let's admit it, they are what they are, or we were what we were, a bunch of immature, you know, adolescent young men. You know, that's a lot of, you know, pressure and, you know, stuff on the side to have to deal with. So in terms of Coach Day, I think Ryan Day, from what I can see and hear, does a magnificent job of managing that. But it's going to continue to become more and more of a challenge. How do you establish a culture in a day and age where the majority of these kids coming out of high school have been told how great they are? Very few of them have had a real support group that tells them what they need to hear. Instead, they start to surround themselves with people that are going to tell them what they want to hear. And that includes parents. You know, I mean, as a parent, so I will share for those of you that don't know, I have a son. He is a freshman this fall down at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. He's playing baseball there. And, you know, the things that my son has heard from Beth and I for the last 3-4 years are very different than what almost every kid in his incoming class has been hearing. And it's these kids hear how, and the parents too. Like as a parent, I know how proud you get when you see your kid achieve something and you see your kid grow and develop and they have a lot of talent. And I can see what my parents felt and I know what I have felt about my son. So it's easy to get caught up in well, your son's the number 4 ranked football recruit in the country. And these parents start buying into it, not realizing that what your kid does in high school doesn't have a lick. It doesn't make a single difference. Once he gets on campus, he's in a man's world. So, you know, to manage that from the parents and the players and the expectations, and that's only going to become more and more of a challenge. So how do you establish your culture of toughness and discipline and selflessness and accountability in a day and age where the majority of your players are coming in, and a lot of them, I shouldn't say majority, but a lot of them and a lot of talented ones at that have been hearing the exact opposite messages. Get yours, get paid, you're great. So when the minute you try to push and motivate and lead that young man, he can say, they're going to pay me too. I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this. Coach doesn't like me. So that to me is going to be, that's something that I'm probably watching the most out of the whole state of college athletics is, you know, the quality of human being that we're going to see leaving after 3 or 4 years. Can we maintain that quality? Because I do believe college athletics in general is the best way for, a teenager to turn into an adult, whether it's, men's or women's sports at the college level. There's something about, it's the same with our men and women that serve in the military. You cannot replicate the inherent automatic desire for a group to work together to achieve a common goal. And the things you learn and go through along that, through that process are, I know for me personally, there are things that have stuck with me and helped me and served me for the last 20 years since I got out. So what that looks like, I think Coach Day has a really, really, really good personality. He can be intense, but he's empathetic. And I think that's what you're going to have to be in today's culture and world of college football. So I am not in the fire Ryan Day camp like some of you may be, and I know a lot of our fans are. But at some point, when you have the facilities, when you have the players, when you have the talent, when you have what we have, we do have to start at least winning one of those big games. And hopefully that's this year. Hopefully hopefully we only have to win 2 of them here, once the season's over.
Greg, are there regular, still traditional recruiting rules? Now, are there portal rules? Can you pursue a player, then he declares the portal, or they declare the portal before you talk to them?
So I honestly don't know all the different timelines. I know there are different rules, right? There's 2 different portal times. I think that you can enter right after the season, and then you can enter, I forget what it is, maybe right after fall camp or something crazy. So there are different portal times, there are different portal rules. As far as the recruiting in high school, I think for football, I think it might be the same as baseball now, where it's like August 1st going into your junior year. Before that, they can't talk to you, they can't recruit you. The only time they can even talk to you is if you go to a camp. And then at that point, they can just talk to you about coaching you. I mean, they can't talk to you about recruiting. And so obviously there's going to be all the different schools and coaching staffs that try to find the way around that, because that's just the world we live in. They're going to try to bend the rules as much as they can, but the recruiting rules have changed. And I think that's for the better. An 8th grader, a freshman, even a sophomore in high school, they're just not ready. They're not mature enough to understand the magnitude of the decision they're going to make. A lot of times, truly what's important and why do you want to choose that school. But I also think you're going to see high schoolers pushing it off a little bit too, because they want to see who's coming in the portal. So it's a really, really interesting time, and the dynamics of recruiting have changed so much. Ironically, it obviously has changed a ton since I went through the process 25 years ago. It's changed a ton since my son started going through the process as a sophomore in high school, and that's 3 years ago. Long story short, at the end of the day, the NCAA has basically little to no authority over anything anymore, and they've just shown what a joke they are. Because now it's just the wild, wild west. So, it's up to the coaches and the universities and everybody. And I mean, if we're still doing this 10 years from now, for those of you that are still here, we're going to laugh. I can almost guarantee you this. We're going to laugh at what college sports looked like right now, let alone 5-10 years ago, because it's going to change that much over the next decade. Yes.
You have an interesting perspective. Talk about the NIL and this craziness that's going on with the Sun in baseball now. When you get football, we're hearing that Ohio State spent $20 million on this roster, and there's various collectives out there. How is all that? How do you see all that playing out? I understand some colleges may do away with some programs because they can't support them all. Ohio State got probably the most programs out there, women's and men's sports. So is your son getting any kind of NIL kind of deal at UT, or how do you see all that playing out with collectives?
So how do I see it playing out? I have zero clue. To answer so when I say I don't support the current state, I don't support the combination of NIL in its current form and the transfer portal. I actually think the solution is really simple, and it's really, really fair. I support NIL, but not to be used as a recruiting tool. I do support NIL for the guys that have played, the guys that have earned their name and their reputation. And if their jersey is selling and they get a kickback of that, or if a local car dealership wants to give them a vehicle and say, do some commercials for me. But in its current state of, if you come here, our collective will give you $500,000. I do not support that. That is not, I don't believe that was the intent of NIL. And then when you couple it with the free transfer, whenever you want, there's transfer at will, you get what we've had, which is college free agency. To me, the fix is relatively simple, and it's a combination of some or all of these following items. So you get rid of NIL for recruiting. You just can't do it anymore. Obviously, some universities are going to have the reputation. Hey, once you get on campus, if you do wind up being who we think you are, this is what he gets. But you just don't get it coming in as a freshman or a transfer. You get rid of the transfer portal. Some people say, well, that's not fair to the kids. Coaches can just up and leave. Well, no, they can't. If you sign a contract, just like the NFL, you can't leave. You can't get a buyout. Some other university can't pay your buyout. You signed that deal. If you are recruited and one of your assistant, and that namely goes for head coaches. If your head coach, your coordinator, or your position coach leaves, you can have a free transfer if you want. Not predicated on money, but predicated on the fact that I chose to come to Ohio State because of this coaching staff. And I really like their system. I really like the way they do things. So if one of those three coaches, who is obviously integral to my development as a quarterback, my quarterback coach, my offensive coordinator, or my head coach, if they leave or get fired, you can transfer. And if you start to combine some of those things, it's fair to the players. They can still get paid, but it's not college free agency. It's not what we have right now. So.
Last question.
All right, I'm gonna put a little pressure on you for the last question here.
Okay.
I'm curious, in order, who are your top 5 Ohio State quarterbacks of all time?
Whoa. In order? Oh my goodness. I'd have to give that some thought. Because like the recency bias wants to start spouting off young guys' names. But I'd have to, can I have a couple minutes and either out loud announce it or not in order? I got to put Rex up there. I have to put Bobby Hoying up there. Man, and recently, I mean, in terms of what he accomplished, I got to put Troy up there. Justin, when Justin played like he had something to prove for the NFL, was really good all season long. Maybe a little bit could have been a little tougher for us all season long, but oh man, I'm sure I'm missing some folks back. I said Rex. Rex was my first name that I said. Me, no. Top 5, no. CJ's definitely up there. I mean, you can definitely tell what he's doing in the league. Very phenomenal talent. So that's 5 right there, but I'm sure I'm missing somebody somewhere along the line. But I think it's tough to say there's more deserving names than those 5, but I'd have to go back and look through, stuff further back. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure, and hopefully next year we can get the Dog and Pony Show back up here. Get Ryan back here. So appreciate it. Looking forward to it as I do every year.
So it was great to hear that perspective on OSU football and the changes in athletics. But one thing that was especially relevant for me was that what we're missing today is some of that character and leadership development as part of making a long-term.
It's not just in football either.
Right, yeah, absolutely. So thank you. Thank you again. Our feature program next week is Clever Coffee. a for-profit pop-up coffee shop that provides meaningful employment for adults and intellectually and developmentally disabled. Our closing quote today comes from John McKay, head coach at USC in 1966. Following the 51-0 loss to Notre Dame in 1966, I told my team it doesn't matter. There are 750 million people in China who don't even know this game was played. The next day, a guy called me from China and asked, "What happened, coach?" See you next week.